that. There it is. If I wanted, I could clean it up with my sheetrock knife. If there's any marks on it anywhere. There's my piece. Yeah. That's going to fit right up in there. Let's go take a look and see how that fits and what to do at this point. That seems like an awful lot of work just to get that piece in there, huh? But that'll give the stucco some support, especially once I put the 2x8s in here. That just fits very nice. That is so good. Okay, I'm liking that. I'm liking that. Okay, just like that. But now to how am I going to keep it up there? Well, it's not really going to hold by itself. But I'm going to take a little strap at the bottom, and I'm going to, it'll be like a little L bracket. I'll screw it into the plywood, and then the bracket will come out to where the 2x8s are. And then that could hold it up, or I'm first going to keep this here like this and see if I can fit an actual 2x8 in here or not. And I didn't think I could. The 2x8 in here fit before at 7 1/4. I only have 7 1/8. I got 7 1/8. That's because there's staples sticking out on the back side of the stucco. Nails, I could cut them. I could only cut them so tight. Okay, and so I know when I put the 2x8 in here, I'm going to have to rip it down. It's probably 7 1/8. I'm just measuring it at the bottom here to see if that, in fact, is 7 1/8 too. It could even be 7 1/16 even. It's just holding up there with some staples. And see, I might not have to do anything with that. But I'm not ready to put it in just yet. Okay? And because I'm gonna put paper. I'm gonna put paper on this, remember? I'm gonna put paper on it because the paper on the back side of this is all ripped up. So if any water drips back from the inside, on the outside of the stucco on down, I don't want it to get on my wood, right? So I'm going to staple a piece of paper on here, is what I'm going to do. That's what I was going to do. And before I put that up, I'm going to measure this 2x8 from the end up. I got 24 inches. Looks like 24 inches. And that's to the tip. That's to the tip because I have to cut that. I have to cut that 2x8 at an angle. See how it's going up, and I'm pretty sure it's close to a 45-degree angle. And so I'm going to cut it at a 45, and I'm going to put it up in there and see what happens. Okay, so that's to the long point, 24 inches from down there up here to the long point. Now I'm going to have to do that with my saw. I've never used this saw to cut 45-degree angles, so let's figure out how I can get it done. Because if I can do it, you can do it. I'm going to try to get you in the shade here a little. The first thing I got to do is I know that the 2x8, see, it's 7 1/4, so I need about 7 1/16. I'm going to cut this first, then I have to rip the whole edge of this thing down. And most wood, 2x8, 2x4, 2x6, is 1.5 inches thick. Okay, when you measure it. So if, for me to cut a 45, I have to go back from this point. And I want to make sure that's square, and it probably is. It's pretty good. I had them cut it at the store for me. Now, if I measure back 1.5 inches, I should be able to, if I cut it off perfectly out of 45, I'll come right down to this tip, right? But I don't have to be that. I don't have to be that close. So I'm gonna go back 2 inches. Get my square out. I'm gonna cut it there, and I got a 4-foot long piece. And remember, that first one is 24 inches to the long point. And so I know the next one's going to be shorter than that, so a 4-foot piece is going to be fine. So now my blade, my guard, or my table fence is what it is, needs to go down lower because I just cut plywood. Okay, so I'm just going to lift that all the way up. And I'm hoping this is going to cut all the way through because this is only a 6 1/4 inch blade. I usually do this with the Skill Saw 77, which is a commercial blade. And like I say, I've not done it with this one before, so I have to loosen this up, and it's not coming off because it's never been loosened before. I've never had to do that, so I'm just going to get that loose. And then there's angles. There's numbers on the side here. And I can see where it says 45. It actually goes up to 50. And I have to see, okay, the top edge of that is at the 45. Because there's a little nib here. So I look down here, and 0 is at the top edge. So theory has it, top edge is 45 right there. Now I can tighten that up. Now to cut this, I have to lift the blade, the guard up, and now I can cut it. Well, this side's sliding on me, so I'm going to have to just put my foot out on it, lift the guard up, and cut away. Look at that. Did it. Pretty close to it. This is a 45 on that, and that's just what I wanted. 45. Okay, look at that. See there? There's my point. Now, to cut this 2 foot long, yep, I've got to loosen this up, straighten out my table, tighten that up. Okay, that's ready to go. And I'm going to measure. Make sure you can see all this. Yeah, you can. I'm going to measure from the long point, remember? Not the short point, the long point. 24 inches. I'll square out. See, I got 23.5 left, and that should be plenty. Now I like to cut it so that I can see my line. So I'm flipping it over. I can cut it down here on the ground, same way, or I can cut it on my foot. I usually do it on my foot like this. and I just hold that there, and once I get all the way, almost all the way through it, I've got almost a 2-foot long piece hanging out. I just kind of go just a little fast, not too fast. There you go. There's our piece. 24 inches to the long point. So when you do measurements, you always got to make sure you know where you're cutting. Okay? Now I know that's not going to fit, right? I've got to make this 7, and I took the nails out of one of these, by the way. It was bugging me. Okay. Does it matter which side I cut it on? No. But I'll cut it over here on the right, because like I say, I like to see my line. 7 and an 8. I want it. 7 and a 16th. It's not very much, man. And I could almost take my pencil as a straight edge, get it lined up, use my finger, and I can almost close my eyes and run my hand all the way down at the same. And that's as almost straight as you can get it. Almost, I say. That's because this board is a different measure. It's 7 1/4 there, and it's 7 3/16 there. So I'm just going to use this as my straight edge. And I was trying to get this so it's fairly snug when I put it up there. But see, I still have to wrap paper around it. And that's going to take up just a little bit of room, not very much. Okay. Now, I'm going to rip that off. I got stuff. And let's see how far the blade, see the blade is going to go into the old 2x6s a little bit. I can make it so it's a little bit less. Right about there. And now I can cut that. That. Nice little piece there, huh? Okay. That should fit up in there. Let's go take a look and see what we have to, see if this is going to fit or if I have to shave it off any little bit more.